When you're out there in nature, everything around you is positive. The animals are positive. Nature is positive. Nature never goes out of style. It's always positive.
The wide open plains and soaring mountains of northeastern Montana are like none other. Today, the mountains of Glacier National Park shelter one of the largest undisturbed ecosystems in the lower 48 states of the USA. And it's this sort of pristine wilderness that we've come to explore at a time when few others are to be found here. As we prepare to join the few who venture in to experience the stark beauty of Glacier National Park in the depths of winter, in this episode of Extreme Treks. This world is big and beautiful, and there's a lot to be explored. This time we're going deeper, further, not knowing what to expect, not knowing who we'll meet, embracing the unfamiliar. As we enter new worlds, venturing into wild landscapes and isolated cultures, one step at a time.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Journeying through inhospitable environments.
We've come into a huge snowstorm.
Taking on extraordinary challenges in unique and amazing places.
And they have stories to tell.
Join me, Ryan Pyle, as we embark on these extreme treks. Montana is the fourth largest of the lower 48 states of the USA, and yet it's one of the least populated. For centuries, the hills and plains have been home to the Blackfeet people, who have lived with this land and learned from it. Arriving here in winter, we're going to need all the help and advice we can get before heading out into the mountains for an adventure unlike any I've had before.
My name's Ernie Heavy Runner, and I'm a Blackfeet Indian. For years and years, I've fought wildland fires, all over the Northwest. And I lived in the mountains, and I slept back in the mountains. Well, you can call me an outdoor survivalist, because that's what I do. When you stay back there, you learn a lot of bit about yourself. It builds character. If you live in a wilderness for a period of time, you don't have any questions. You become part of nature. And that's what's good about, staying back in the mountains.
Ernie's words whet my appetite for the mountains, but I also intend to come back alive. And so I called on the expertise of Greg, a local guide, who agreed to lead our expedition.
I've been working in Glacier, providing trips for people for the last 12 years. Before that, I was always in the backcountry. I've been basically camping and hiking my whole life. Everyday experience out there, something different every time, no matter what you think is gonna happen. There's always surprises around every corner. And that's what keeps me coming back.
So, Greg, I have asked you, and you've accepted this great challenge of keeping me alive on a backcountry Glacier National Park trekking adventure. And it all starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
I'm always a little nervous because
You should be nervous. I mean, you can see where we're going.
Yeah.
And you cannot see where we're going.
Because of the weather.
And that's the excitement of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they say that adventure is an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
And without that uncomfortable nervousness, what fun would it be?
Exactly. Any advice for me? What should I do tonight to prepare?
Hydrate.
Hydrate.
Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And no matter how cold you get in this world, you see people get cold and they stop drinking.
Right.
Drink water.
Drink water. It seems...
And breathe. Because if you're not breathing, nothing else matters.
Okay, breathing in water.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can do that. All right, I'm freezing cold.
Let's go by the wood stove.
All right,
Let's get some dinner
let's start this
and start
adventure.
drinking some water.
All right, great fun, buddy.
Back in the warmth of our lakeside cabin, we knew it was the last of these sort of luxuries that we'd be enjoying for a while. We awoke to the sun bursting up into clear skies. It seemed the perfect day to set forth into the Two Medicine Valley, which Greg had introduced.
To pick any one particular spot here is a challenge in itself. The park's about 1 million acres. The Two Medicine area is a seldomly visited area in this park. There's no infrastructure out there to speak of, no hotels, no great lodges. And then on top of all that, the history that goes back into that area of 6,000 years of visitors and inquiry. I think that Two Medicine Valley is a pretty amazing place to go and explore and be thinking about those things.
Most of the land has always been important to the Blackfeet people. The reason why it's called the Two Medicine River, 150 years ago, maybe even longer, the Blackfeet had a Sundance. The Sundance, or the Medicine Lodge, is usually put on by a woman, a very virtuous woman who makes a vow to put a medicine lodge up. The northern Blackfeet and the southern Blackfeet all came together. There was so many of them at the time, and 2 women made a vow to put up the medicine lodge. So 2 lodges were put up on the Two Medicine River, and that's why it's called the Two Medicine River. The Two Medicine Lake feeds the Two Medicine River, so that's also called the Two Medicine Lake. At one time, that used to be a Blackfeet campground. It has a lot of ceremonial religious significance, Two Medicine Lake does.
As we drive deeper into the park, the weather deteriorates from the clear skies we awoke to. I wonder what we'd be in for.
Oh, there's something on the horse. Is that a horse? A horse, too.
Animals play a very important part in Native American culture. 300 years ago, they could have told science, hey, you have to start watching animals because these animals know things that we don't know. But Indians always knew this. You know, that horse that you passed coming down here, that horse could probably tell you a storm's coming long before there's a cloud in the sky.
Unsure of what these horses might know, I'll be relying on Greg and his experience in these parts to see us through.
Once we start our journey out there, we're pretty far away from nearly anything, anyone. I think the weather is going to play a big role in how this whole trip turns out, what we're going to be able to do, what we're not going to be able to do. We're going to make decisions along the way, and I think the other challenge is going to be how the group reacts to, or how our interaction reacts to one another and how we make decisions.
This is about as far as our bus will take us. We've just hit a pretty heavy patch of snow. The bus has to stay here. Time to get the gear ready. Okay, so who's with us on this journey?
So we have Mark Venery.
Mark? Nice to meet you, Mark.
Nice to meet you, Ryan.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one, huh?
Great, yep.
Stephanie and
Stephanie, nice to meet you. How you doing? Are you ready for an adventure?
I am.
Okay, great.
we have Devin Schmidt.
Devin, good to have you on board, buddy. This is gonna be great. I've never done anything like this before. So,
Says you're here.
yeah, no, I mean, you know what? Keep a positive attitude, we can get through anything, I hope.
That's right.
Yeah. So we just got to pack up all the gear right now.
That's it.
And
Get organized, get packed.
And it's these sleds that are going to make the job a little easier.
Yep, all that
Yeah.
has to go to the...
Okay.
Bags, you'll do in this one?
Although I was new to all this winter trekking, the team had plenty of experience. And before long, we were all set and ready to start on our way. As we enter through the park gates, we are welcomed with increasing snow flurries. The further we walk in, the thicker the snow becomes. And I also made the unwelcome discovery that my trekking boots aren't up to the task.
I did, yeah. You're like, whoa. But then we found the hole, so that was new.
We can say in all the years I've never had to do this to somebody.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
First time you've had to bag someone?
First time I've had to bag somebody. I would have made you put on different shoes before we left, had I known.
Okay. Glacier National Park. Snowing out. The snow is now getting deep enough. We need to put on the snowshoes. First time in snowshoes.
So, a trick, somebody will inevitably fall over backwards, and it may be you. Right away. You want to, whenever you go backwards, you have to lift your foot very high, or the back of these will dig in, and you're going to go right over backwards. All right. So when in doubt, go forward.
When in doubt, always forward.
Well, snowshoes are good for two things. They keep you from falling through the snow. We call it post-holing. And even though the snow might not be all that deep on the road, if you sink up to here, it makes you waste a lot of your energy.
Yeah,
And it's also very uncomfortable to sink in the snow.
I believe it.
As you go along. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to stay on the surface of the snow, and we're also trying to get better traction.
Okay.
Especially pulling sleds, and they're helpful. One less thing we need to carry too when they're on your feet.
I agree. We're about halfway to Two Medicine Lake, which is going to be our end point for this evening. That's where we're going to camp. And now we got the snowshoes on, we should be able to make better time.
This is my first time on snowshoes, and the walking takes a bit of getting used to. It's a great feeling being able to walk across the top of the snow. But the extra weight on my feet and the different movement is something my legs quickly begin to suffer from.
Well, day one, you should be the strongest you're going to be in this trip, and I think we moved a little slower than I thought we would move. And the mountains don't really forgive you if you're slow. You either get to camp in the dark or you get to camp in light, and life is much easier when you get there, when you have light.
First day, buddy. That was amazing. Look what we're surrounded by.
This park is kind of divided in half by the Continental Divide, and there's pressure on different sides of the mountain, and it creates this vortex of changing weather and cold air coming down the mountain, warm air coming up the mountains, and it clashes here, and it mixes and it changes, and 1 minute it could be like this, and the next minute it might be like this.
Glacier National Park is a place that's quite often visited in the summertime, but in the wintertime it's desolate, and we're not really going to see anyone else back here in this back country. And that's why we wanted to come in this season. We've got a national park all to ourselves, and it's exhilarating. It's beautiful, but we've got a lot to do tonight. We've got to still set our camps and get some food and prepare for whatever, is in store for tomorrow. And what is it about, there's no bad weather, but?
No bad weather, only bad attitudes.
Nice. All right, well, we'll hope for better weather tomorrow, but who knows?
Waking the next morning, it had snowed and the wind had howled nonstop through the night. And it doesn't look like letting up anytime soon.
And the weather's just been really tough. It's a little colder than we thought it would be. The snow and the wind are a little bit more intense than we thought it would be.
Food and hot drinks are vital to keeping our spirits high. But keeping a flame going in this wind requires constant attention. The weather seems to be telling us to stay put.
I think today is super limited too, that's the thing.
So we're gonna stay a whole day right here.
We need to come up with a plan.
Let me know what you think of this. We stay here. We all stay here today, and I'll help dig in the kitchen and we can all work together. And then tomorrow we go to Upper Two Med and do a day trip. You good with that? Probably.
It's one of the crazy things here about Glacier National Park. In the summertime, you're actually allowed to set a fire to keep yourself warm at night, to do some cooking, things like that. But in the winter, you're not allowed to set a fire. So protecting yourself from the wind, keeping yourself warm, really does involve moving snow. Greg, what are we gonna do right now?
Well, we're gonna dig in our kitchen.
Digging in a kitchen.
Yeah, we're gonna make a protected area that we can prepare our meals and get out of the wind.
I've never dug a kitchen before.
Okay.
I can shovel though. I'm a pretty strong guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll teach. What are we doing? What are we doing right up front here?
Well, the very first thing we're gonna do is establish a wall.
Okay.
Just to our left.
To protect us from the wind.
Protect us from the wind. Yep.
Let's do it. Actually, it's good. We stay warm. It's too
Yes.
cold if you're not moving.
Yes.
This is awesome. I've never dug a kitchen before.
And sure enough, before long, the work of shoveling snow is finally beginning to warm us up.
Because I have a lot of layers on.
What do you want? Do you want to do this topless, just for fun?
Yeah, no shirt.
Two things about being out in the wild that can raise spirits.
Oh, yeah?
One is definitely a fire.
Yeah.
But that's not an option here in the
No.
winter at Glacier National Park. And the other thing is building something that's going to make you warmer.
Yeah.
Because I think it gets the blood going and
Well, making your life easier. And, you know, one of the big challenges right now, all our gear, we need to be so careful that we're not leaving something leaning up against a tree.
Yeah.
And the next time you turn around, it's buried.
Yeah.
And you forgot where that was. So establishing a nice, clean kitchen camp, organized. Really, you see these elaborate camps because some days you just can't travel. So what do? You be productive, move around, stay warm.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
This is great. You know, my wife always says I don't do any work around the house, and I'm building a bloody kitchen. And the sun is out.
And the sun is out.
It's amazing how fast the weather changes out here in the mountains. 2 seconds ago, it was fully clouded over, snow was coming in. Now we got some sunlight, it's starting to warm up.
And now look at it.
Yeah, totally. Totally snowed in again.
Yep.
You want me to keep coming this way?
Like building anything, you need to have the vision. And Greg is chief architect.
We'll basically like leave this protected here
Yeah.
that we stand in and then establish like a workspace.
Okay.
Working with Greg, I also get to learn a few tricks of the trade.
Snow saw.
And that's just to cut blocks out?
Yes. Sometimes it's more efficient to cut the snow than it is to shovel the snow. Yep. You pick the blocks up and move them. Yep. Stack it right up there and see how you can create like places for the stove that protected.
It's just like building a big snowman. Well, you're really dancing around up there, aren't you?
Yeah. What I do, I pack it down.
Kitchen's done. Nice teamwork, buddy.
Nice teamwork.
We're getting it done out here in the winter in Glacier National Park.
Time for some hot tea.
Oh, yeah.
You're making it, right?
Yeah, I'm making it. Come on.
What are you drinking?
A warm cup of tea out here does wonders. My feet are cold, and I'm hoping the bags over my boots would go the distance.
We've been kind of tracking weather conditions for the last couple weeks. And even just a week ago, it was kind of sunny and blue skies, and there wasn't much snow in here at all. As you can see, though, the wind just changes direction every couple minutes. Snow flurries really haven't stopped at all since we've been here. Sometimes it's really heavy, sometimes it's not. Most of the snow that we actually used to make this little shelter has fallen in the last 48 hours. And then all of a sudden, the sun will come out and just bring a little bit of warmth, which I'm starting to just feel right now. The sun just came out, and it is just heaven. But it doesn't last long, maybe a minute or two, and then it goes back in, and the wind will come back in, and then the snow will come back in. I mean, the weather really changes every 3 minutes here.
With a satisfied feeling of having done something constructive, we join the rest of the team. And after all that work, I can't wait to see our new kitchen in use.
I'm not a real firm believer in pre-made, freeze-dried foods, so we're actually going to be preparing all our foods while we're out there. Good combination of proteins and carbohydrates. We're doing a lot of pasta dishes, a lot of quinoa, trying to keep our fuel up and our attitudes high. And food does that for us.
Should be delicious. Here you go, my man.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's good. So we're gonna keep this as our base camp. And then from here, we're gonna use the next few days to really get out and explore the valley and learn a little bit more about this Two Medicines area and just the beautiful natural landscape that exists here and just how special it is in the wintertime.
First thing I noticed as daylight began to lighten my tent was that the wind had stopped and there was almost complete silence around us. A break in the weather is very welcome, and maybe we stand a chance at exploring the area today.
Today we're gonna make our first real trip out of the relative safety of our Two Medicine camp, and we're gonna be doing about a 5-mile trek to the upper Two Medicine area, and hopefully we can make it, and hopefully the conditions will allow us to have a chance to see the upper Two Medicine Lake, which is supposed to be really beautiful. Wish us luck. Who knows what's gonna happen out here. This is pretty raw and pretty real out here.
It sure is.
Is it really possible that we might run into a bear out here?
Well, this is the highest populated grizzly bear area in the lower 48 states.
Really?
Yeah.
And are they gonna be coming out? Like,
Well, they are coming out right now. This is the month that they'll come out of their den, and they have young.
Right.
So we really want to be careful for any grizzly bears with cubs.
Cubs are, then they're extra defensive, right?
Yeah, they protect their babies just like everybody else would, so we want to be really aware of that.
So what do we do if we encounter a bear?
Well, we carry bear spray, and we utilize that. It's actually more effective than a pistol or a weapon. It just gives us time to get away from them.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen,
Yeah,
because I can't see myself being too quick on these snowshoes.
no.
Today our trek takes us away from our camp at Lower Two Medicine, along the side of Two Medicine Lake and further up the valley to explore the Upper Two Medicine area. It's famous for its scenic beauty, and we hope the weather will hold out long enough for us to experience that. It feels great to get out on the trail once again. The natural beauty that we're walking through is breathtaking, and now we're alone amongst it all with just the sound of our snowshoes against the snow.
The mountains, the lakes, forests, they have a different kind of energy about them in the winter, and when everything's covered in snow, there's a hush that comes over everything around you, and it's silent, and it's beautiful. As I'm walking through the forest, the snow is coming down on me. I can hear trees moving, in the wind. And you can hear small birds chirping in the trees and Ernie Heavy Runner's words echoing in my mind.
When you live in nature, it moves you spiritually. You don't wonder why that bird's doing what he's doing or what that deer is doing what he's doing. You just know because you're part of it.
Man, this is beautiful.
Sure is.
So what part of the park are we in right now, Greg?
Well, we just got to the end of Two Medicine Lake, and we're looking into the upper Two Medicine Valley.
Which is where we wanted to go, right?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to take you up here.
In that huge cloud?
Yeah, weather's not looking so great up there.
Oh.
But I did want to get you into this area because it's so stunning.
It is, man. Look, we're just surrounded by mountains in every direction.
Yeah, look at that.
This is just remarkable. These peaks are just too much.
Well, we're really lucky the weather changed a lot from yesterday.
It's slow moving in the snowshoes, but it works, huh?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. Do you think that bad weather is going to start moving on us?
I think that's what we were facing yesterday, and I think it is moving down the valley, yeah.
Are we in an avalanche zone at the moment? Because we're kind of surrounded by mountains in all directions?
Yeah, well, this whole valley is avalanche terrain. And you can see an old fracture line right up here above us.
Yeah.
This is actually an avalanche path that comes right down right over here.
Yeah.
You may think, oh, that nice open area may be a good place to camp, when in fact, it's not. Whether it's looking at a big mountain and going, yeah, that's avalanche terrain, or the scars on the trees, or the lack of trees, we know what those signs are, and that's the benefit of having a guide. But definitely, this is a concern, and we want to practice safe travel, so we should probably move along.
Okay.
I'm going to have you go ahead of me,
Okay.
one at a time, and I'll be right behind you.
All right.
Put a little space between ourselves.
Okay. Well, let's get out of here then.
Okay.
All right. It's getting nasty out, man.
Yeah, it sure is. Looks like we have another storm coming in.
Even though the weather signs are not good, we head on towards the upper Two Medicine area in the hopes that the bad weather will soon pass.
Feeling a bit nervous about this weather that's just changed on us, man. That's looking pretty bad.
It's starting to come in pretty hard, yeah.
That's a huge storm.
Yep.
Do we want to go into that or not?
Well, the best thing to do is head back.
Head back to camp?
Yeah.
Because getting up into Two Medicine Lake, the upper Two Medicine, that's not going to happen,
Not
is it?
gonna happen.
I just felt like the temperature dropped.
Head for shelter.
Outrun the storm.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Oh man,
Time to batten down the hatches.
I feel like we're running away from a storm.
We're not running away, we're running towards camp.
Shelter,
Yes,
hot water,
hot water,
hot food. That really doesn't look good back there.
Although we'd come in willing to give it our best shot, continuing on would have been dangerous. we retreat back to camp, determined to head out again another day.
So was today like a typical mountain day?
Typical mountain day, yeah. Changes in the weather, changes in terrain.
Yeah. It's tough out there.
Yeah.
Snowshoeing is something you really do have to get accustomed to.
Yeah, get you in the legs.
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm really glad we didn't go to the upper 2 Med area. That just looked so nasty with all the black clouds.
Yeah, it was inviting for just a moment, and then that cloud came over the top and chased us right out of there.
The mountains are tough.
It'll tire you out just staying in one spot, much less moving.
They really will. I don't think a lot of people probably have seen what we saw today in the winter.
No.
I think the most fun I had today was walking across the lake with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous.
Yeah. Well, you should be. Anytime you're on ice, you need to be very, very careful.
It was beautiful, though. As we came across, all the mountains just kind of came into view.
Yeah, unimpeded and beautiful.
And now we're back in the kitchen that we made.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? Hot drinks and food?
Hot drinks and food. Yeah.
All right.
Do it again tomorrow.
How's your feet doing?
They're okay. I think, so I'd like to address the issue of my shoes. We've been doing a lot of treks this year. We've had a chance to explore a lot of beautiful places, and my boots have really completely fallen apart. You can see my shoes have a beautiful rubber bag around them. So it's a bit interesting, the kind of equipment that you have to use when you're in a pinch. It's just been wild. Winter camping is definitely not for everyone. And when I first came out here, I didn't know if it was gonna be for me or not, but I'm warming up to it. It's a pretty amazing experience, and I really like the isolation. Apparently the park is open, but we haven't seen anyone. So if you get the chance, yes, you can visit Glacier National Park in the summer, but also remember, it's also open in the winter time as well. It's a beautiful thing to be out here. It's definitely something we shouldn't be shying away from. And now I'm frozen.
We actually woke up this morning to a snowstorm. We had another 6 to 8 inches of snow this morning with very cold temperatures. And actually, when I looked out my tent this morning, I really didn't know how much we were going to accomplish today. Shortly after that, the weather changed, and we actually had a nice break in the weather with clear skies. Still cold, but clear skies and calm with no winds.
I don't really think there are words to describe the view this morning at Two Medicine Lake. We can see every peak in the whole valley. We got blue skies, and today is gonna be probably our toughest task, Scenic Point. If we can get to the top, it's gonna be a beautiful view. We're gonna be able to look back and see Two Medicine Lake, see East Glacier, and all of eastern Montana. And I'm just blown away by the scenery already, and I'm sure it's just gonna get better. It's gonna be epic.
Standing at 7,500 feet, Scenic Point looks out over much of the eastern Glacier National Park, affording it magnificent views of the entire Two Medicine region, as well as the iconic Rising Wolf Mountain. The climb up today is a little more than 2,000 feet in deep snow, so we'll need to keep moving if we're gonna make it up and back in one day. When you set yourself a goal to focus on, especially a physical one, it can simplify things for a time. Many other things just don't matter, and it's refreshing to switch off from all of them and just focus on the task at hand. In this case, climbing this peak.
Living in a city dulls your senses. And a lot of tourists that come into the park, they see only what their eyes want them to see. They hear only what their ears want them to hear. And that's it. They don't see the little things or the beauty of it. When you live in a city, everything is negative because we have so many laws in the city that says you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do anything. So what that does is create a mental block where that you think negative. But out there in nature, you're out there where everything is positive. So you begin to think positive. Of course, my people knew they had their own limits. And they also had something that people don't have today, and that's common sense.
So Greg, just 2 minutes ago it was blue skies and sunny. What do we got now?
Well, we have a little bit of a system rolling in. We don't know how long it'll stay here for.
Right.
But we want to be ready in case we have to head back into cover.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll let you make that call.
Yeah.
But until we have to turn around, we just keep moving up Scenic Point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Weather changes quick here.
And if this settles in on us, we got to turn around and go back, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. This is life out in Glacier National Park, Montana. The weather can change every 5 minutes. Let's keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Well, we have a weather system coming in. The weather changes here very, very quickly. This weather is coming up the valley and it's kind of caught up with us. We're going to continue on for a little ways further, but with a whiteout condition, we need to find shelter as soon as possible. And we'll see what happens if this blows through or not, but it's looking pretty thick. There may be a chance that we need to go back.
You have to have common sense when you live in a wilderness. Otherwise, you know, it's just not going to work for you.
We're just working our way up Scenic Point, and we've come into a huge snowstorm. And sadly, it's just not safe to go any further. We got to get back down to camp as quick and as safely as we can. Time to move.
You can't live against nature, you have to live with nature. I used to take people back on hikes back in there, you know, groups. They try to bring the whole city with them. And they leave the most important thing at home, and that's common sense. A lot of tourists, they come out here and they're falling off of mountains, or they're getting chewed up by bears, or they're drowning in rivers because they don't have common sense. Their senses are dulled by living in the cities.
The descent is a long one. My legs are feeling every step of it, but I'm glad I have Greg's tracks to follow.
Well, you have to weigh the risk of the group that you have out there, the number of people, you know, what the outcome may be if you push on further, and that's the challenge every mountaineer has is, you know, do you continue, do you wait it out, or do you retreat? And you have those three options. And we did what all mountaineers do. We gave it 5 minutes, and then we made a decision. And right after that, we had 2 more waves that came in, and I think everyone was quite happy with that decision. Not fighting against the elements, and in fact, enjoying them for what they are. You know, it's really interesting. Sometimes the trees feel like a shelter, and then other times it feels dark and scary. But knowing when to go into the forest and when to get out to the open and when to feel the sun and when to hide from it or when to hide from the weather, and even though it sometimes feels like a harsh place, as time goes on and you get more in tune with the system and how things work, you can take care of yourself and you can actually get comfortable in a place like this.
Takes something quite special just to be able to exist out here in this kind of wilderness. It's really intense. And it's definitely not for everyone. That was challenging.
Yeah.
Our time here is almost over. We've reached kind of our limit of, I think, physically what I can take. It's amazing how exhausting the weather is. Like, when it does get that cold, just how hard it is to exist.
Well, you guys definitely got into the rhythm of it. You figured out what it was like in the evening time and when to hold them and when to fold them.
Man, we had to fold a few times, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We walked all the way out to Two Med, Upper Two Medicine Lake, and there was black clouds and snowstorm and wind, and we had to turn around. And today we made a move up Scenic Point and got caught in similar weather and had to turn around.
Yeah. You know, you just don't want to take chances in that kind of condition. It's not worth the risk. The mountains will be there next time you show up.
The trick is for us to still be there.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we like to say what the mountains give, and sometimes they give you more than you know once you leave here.
Yeah, we can look at some of the footage and be like,
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, well,
All right,
get you to a...
time for some food.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I wanted him to be able to see the beauty of this area and how incredible the rise of the mountains are from the valley here and how unique this area is to the rest of the world.
Ernie Heavy Runner said, you know, when you put yourself out into nature, when you go out into the wilderness, you learn about yourself and you get taught lessons. And this week I feel like I've learned a few things about myself. And, you know, I've learned that I cannot attain my goals and still be satisfied. And I think that's something new for me. I've, you know, always been really kind of headstrong, and I've always been someone who wants to win. But out here, you know, there's no winning and losing, you're just surviving. And being humbled by this kind of weather is something that I'm now perfectly okay with. So I've definitely learned that about myself this week.
Years ago, I rode all the way from St. Mary's over to Two Medicine Lake. One night I camped back there, I heard a wolf howl. And it was late in the evening. And when I heard this wolf howl, it just echoed across the canyon. And it's one of the most beautiful sounds I ever heard. To hear a lone wolf howl way back in the mountains, it does something to you.
I woke up this morning in my tent, and the whole inside of the tent was just kind of frosted, and I just laid there closing my eyes, trying to keep my eyelids warm. And I thought to myself, yeah, this has been real. This has been real tough. But this is our last day in Glacier National Park, and I'm feeling a bit heavy-hearted, a little sad that it's finally time to go. We're just packing up camp. It's time to leave Two Medicine Lake.
Really hard. I'm like digging through solid ice right here. Yeah.
It's time to say goodbye finally to my boots, which just were not up to the winter wear and tear. It's been a real challenge in these boots, and now I've got these winter booties that are Greg's. He gave them to me, and I might have completely avoided frostbite on my toes. Once again, Greg has saved me, and these are pretty much done. You won't see me in these ever again.
As we crash our tents, pack our bags, we're all very grateful for the good weather, which makes things a lot easier. There's just one more task we have to complete before leaving, the demolition of our hand-built kitchen.
Greg, because we practice leave no trace, we have to dismantle our amazing ice kitchen that we're in. This is the end of an era. Oh, so what's the best way to dismantle it? Because I have a very small shovel.
Well, as you can see, it's very, very rigid.
Yeah.
Here, use this manly shovel.
Use this. Well, they're almost done. Okay, yeah.
Oh, we'll start right here.
Did you cut this thing? It's so the animals don't start cooking on their own. I like destroying things. 2, 3. Oh, that was sad. We're pretty much done destroying our kitchen. Over the next few days, the snow will come in and fill it up, and it'll look like we were never here. And that's the plan. And now we're kind of done with camp. It's time to get back to the car and get back on the road.
When you come out there, I don't know how to say it, but when you become a better person. All the egotism isn't there. You feel confident. You feel like you're in control. I mean, you're in control of who you are.
Just came out of Glacier National Park. I wish I could say I feel victorious. I feel more like I'm a survivor. I think the weather was unpredictable. The temperatures were far below what we could have ever imagined. But I just feel like I've endured something quite special. It's a beautiful thing, you know, having to work with Mother Nature and just not knowing what you're gonna get every day. It was a pure adventure. And Glacier National Park is beautiful. The Two Medicine area is something everyone on this planet should have a chance to see. And if you're tough enough and you're ready for some extreme weather, you go in winter and you go winter camping like we did.